Afternoon, Quad Cities. It is just a little bit after the noon hour here on Monday, April 28th. I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutzky.
I'm weather anchor Peter Warner.
Yeah, we're back for another round of some bonus severe weather content for this Monday.
We got some maybe changes, at least for portions of the year, that could lead to maybe some changes here with the forecast.
Yeah, exactly. We're about to, in probably the next few hours, glean a lot more information in terms of what could happen later this evening. It wasn't just more than, I would say, probably 30 minutes ago. We got word from the National Weather Service we're officially going to get a balloon launch later this afternoon. There was some concern that they weren't going to do that at all, that we may have had to wait to this evening. And I was hoping that was not going to be the case because we've been talking about this cap all day long. And we want to know how strong is the cap or how weak is the cap.
Yeah, that's going to be the number, not obviously the only ingredient, but that's kind of the biggest ingredient we're looking at right now on if we are going to see these storms or not.
Exactly. So that's going to be crucial. Again, that data coming in after the 3 o'clock hour, most likely, as we go into this afternoon. Today is one of those days where, all of us as meteorologists, we are looking at the data hour by hour. And yes, it is changing. We're seeing some changes when it comes to the storm coverage and things as we go throughout the evening. So we'll start with what we do know, what we're expecting to learn as we go throughout the afternoon. I'm going to give you a little timeline of what we're going to learn so that kind of put this in your calendar for today. This is what we're going to be watching for. And also it's a good timeline and a good reminder of when to check back in with us, because that's when we're going to have more information pouring out to you as a whole.
Yes.
Is during those same times. If you have a question, we will take a few moments at the end to answer them really quickly. It's 309-304-0888. That's the number you will want to text. Our awesome digital team will get those to us right away, and we'll go through those and answer them. But let's start with the setup, what we've got going on today. I was just telling you, Peter, passing through your studio as you were finishing up with our sister station for Des Moines, you feel the stickiness to the air.
It's back. And boy, did I not miss it.
I know, I'm looking at the camera shot and I'm like, oh, look at the glistening.
Greasy again.
Yep. Wow. So some of that stickiness to the air has come back to the Quad Cities. This is the first time we've seen it this year, by the way, a humid day without any rain causing the humidity. This is all a strong south wind that's come into play, and that's what we've got going on. Lots and lots of sunshine, but lots and lots of warmth. We're already in the mid 70s. I believe we're going to pop 80 most likely by the end of this hour. We're well on the way to doing that. Continuing to look at the 5-minute observations from the airport, we're at 76 right now, so still there. But again, with these strong winds, we're really going to jump up as we get into this afternoon. How strong are the winds? Well, we're gusting to 30 here in the Quad Cities. We are expecting some wind gusts to approach 40 and perhaps 45 miles an hour this afternoon. No wind advisory, and there is no fire danger today either, by the way. It's very humid. Not going to be a day we have to worry about that. And I think we're honestly done with fire danger for the rest of the season.
I would say,
by the way.
Yeah, we're going to start getting that moisture back, and also we're entering our rainy season.
Exactly.
So it's good news there.
Things are greening up.
Oh, it's been gorgeous.
So you can burn to your heart's content now if you need to do that. Good luck. There you see mid to upper 70s going across a good parts of the region here. Almost 80 in Macomb, Western Illinois University territory. And this is what we're talking about, that stickiness to the air. We've got dew point numbers in the 60s. And to the west of us, they're even higher into the 60s, mid 60s. Wow.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
Yep. And that's, I believe, going to be tracking here as we get later into the day.
That's right. All of this is coming our way. So there's your guide, the comfort guide. Anything 60 to 65 starts feeling humid. The real nasty stuff is when it gets to 70, but I don't think we're going to get there today.
No, we should not be.
Yeah. We don't have corn yet coming out of the ground. We don't have soybeans coming out of the ground yet. So we're not going to hit 70 there today, but it will be noticeably humid as we go into the afternoon. We are going to be laser focused on this radar image as we go into the later afternoon and especially this evening. There's nothing going on right now here in the immediate Quad Cities. It's quiet as can be. But what we're starting to see is what we talked about on our 9 o'clock stream this morning. We call this a prefrontal trough that's sitting out here into western Iowa. Think of it as a cold front, but it's not at the surface or the ground. It's actually in the upper levels. But sometimes these frontal troughs here can actually spark storm development as they work into an environment that's favorable. It's not a guarantee that that's going to do it here, but it's a possibility if we can break the cap into this afternoon.
And something with these is it could also maybe weaken the cap portions to our west, which would then allow storms to develop and potentially track to weaken ours. Again, that's still obviously up in the air, but that's something to notice too with these little blips we're seeing further to our west. That means lower cap, and the cap weakens, I guess, further to our west, which, I mean, that development could happen and then maybe potentially track towards us later in the evening.
Absolutely. That is absolutely a possibility. In fact, Des Moines, we are now expecting, at least according to the model data, it looks like there are going to be some healthy rounds of some rain and some storms that are going to go through that part of the region. So the warm front with this storm has already surged well to the north. You can see it up there. If you're talking about the actual cold front, that is still way back here in the eastern Dakotas. There's the actual cold front location. What's ahead of that is you have this feature called a dry line, which is separating very warm, moist air from very warm, dry air. And that dry line is essentially located right about there. Boy, that's a fat dry line. My goodness, that's a template that we got to change there. But that's the setup we have going on. Where the tornado threat is going to be highest is where what we call, like you were saying last time, Peter, the triple point. The region where all of these fronts meet. And that's right up in here where we have that 4 out of 5 risk currently in play.
Yeah, and also seeing a dry line here this far north too is very rare. Not very rare, but this is typically more of a setup you see in your Oklahoma, your Texas, your Kansas for these types of storms, and that's what we're seeing here. You can see it if you can go back to that dew point 2. You can see exactly how that dry line, obviously you see that yellow there. Look at that dry air out in the western half of Nebraska. You can kind of see that significant difference between the 65-degree dew points and those dew points well into the 40s or even lower. And once you see that meeting of that moisture, that dry air moves along that moisture, that's where you get that really nice severe development potential.
Exactly. And you're right, it is rare around here. The only time we would ever see a dry line is this time of year in the spring, perhaps in the fall. But we don't see them very often at all. So you are correct about that. It is a rare feature that we don't often get to track around here in the Quad Cities. So we still have our weather impact alert. The timing on this has not changed whatsoever. We still think if we can get something to go early and the cap weakens here or just to the west of us, like Peter was saying, it would be after 5 o'clock when something would meander into our westernmost hometowns. And then, of course, we have to track the rest of the evening as the cold front comes through. There's been no change in the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. It's nearly identical to what I showed you with the 8 o'clock outlook, and this one just came out at 11:30. It's actually been a little easier for us to see if there's been change because there's been this little notch right here, and it has not gone away at all. No. So that tells me nothing has changed in terms of the severe weather outlook. So we still have a good chunk of the immediate Quad Cities in this 3 out of 5. This is the area we're concerned where the cap might break early and could lead to some evening thunderstorms ahead of the cold front, way ahead of the cold front with that trough that I just showed you coming into western Iowa. The risk is lower the further east you go, but yeah, this is definitely the zone that we're going to have to pay close attention to on the radar as we get into, I would say, probably 4 or 5 hours from now, it looks like.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were seeing on that rapid refresh model.
Yes.
It's been continuing, and it goes every hour, and we've seen that trend kind of start to pick up here over the last 2-3 runs, especially.
Exactly, and we're going to take you through that model so you can see what that could potentially look like. We're also concerned about this too. Same areas that are in that 3 out of 5, a few strong tornadoes will be possible in that same region, along with very large hail that could potentially exceed golf ball size. So it's the tornado threat today, that's 3 out of 5, the hail threat, that's 3 out of 5. The wind threat is still there, but it's not pronounced. It's not as high as the tornado and the hail threat with this particular setup. So I talked this morning about we're at this fork in the road as we're traveling in our severe weather journey today. We have a left lane that we can go in, which is the worst case scenario, the one we don't want to go in, where the cap weakens, we blow the lid off that thing and we get explosive storm development to the west of us, probably after 3-4 o'clock or so. That would then move east. It would have very large hail with it and also the potential for some damaging tornadoes. The path, though, that we are probably going to take is on the right-hand side of the road. And this has been kind of fairly consistent where we have kind of just a nothing burger.
Yeah, kind of settles out. And we've actually seen that on both our in-house model and that rapid refresh model. And the cap is, again, we'll see coming in about a couple hours from now what those numbers are. But it looks like the cap is going to hold a little bit steadier here in our area, right around the Quad Cities. And due to the east even as well. We're seeing maybe that slight chance. It looks like that cap's going to hold later into the evening. And the timing of this cold front, too, is something to take into account.
Yeah, the fact that the front is coming in late tonight, we're going to be losing the instability, the storm energy, all of those ingredients kind of waning. So right now, we're taking the right-hand path as our most likely scenario for today. That doesn't mean we throw one in the garbage. It means that we watch what happens this afternoon, we track things on the radar, and we watch for that balloon launch from the National Weather Service to see how strong that cap is. But I think by the middle part of this afternoon, once we get that balloon data, that will tell us, are we going to have an active evening, or are we going to have a warm, humid, quiet evening with maybe an isolated storm here and there?
I hope the second or the first one.
We hope
Well, I think you were talking about the first one on the graphic. It's the second one, but
Yes.
scenario 2 is what we want.
That's the one we want to see. Yes, we don't want to see scenario 1 because that could get really nasty around here.
Yes.
And certainly we have the ingredients for it. Let's explain a little bit about the cap. We talk about that a lot here in the Quad Cities. What exactly is the cap? Well, think of it as like a lid on a container of rising air. Maybe you put a bowl of water in the microwave and you're microwaving it and it's warming up. Well, obviously, you know, that air is not going to be able to escape inside your microwave because it's sealed up in that container. It's going to try to rise, but it's not going to happen. But if it can get strong enough, that rising air, what would it do to your microwave? It's going to blow the lid right off that bowl, right?
Yep.
That's what could potentially happen as we go into this afternoon if that cap is not strong enough, if it's not a tight seal. So that's why we're waiting for the weather balloon data around 3 this afternoon. On the left-hand side, that's when you have no cap in place, no layer of warm air as you go up into the atmosphere. And we don't have that today, most likely. There will likely be some sort of a cap, especially with us getting into the 80s this afternoon.
Yeah, and that warm air loft, too,
Yeah.
is looking to hold pretty steady.
Yeah. And you can see the temperature difference too. You know, normally as you go up in height from the ground, as we all know, the air cools, it drops in temperature. But when you have a cap situation, it drops initially for the first few thousand feet, but then it rises again. And we get this level of, or this layer of warm air before the air really begins to fall again in temperature. So that cap really is what limits storm development. The million-dollar question is, does that cap break? Is it strong today? Or does it break like I just mentioned there, or does it hold steady? So it's one of the two, and we're going to find out that shortly with that weather balloon launch.
Yeah. It's all about making sure, keeping an eye on that instability as those parcels rise.
Yep, got to see how all that shakes out.
Yes. Moisture, temperatures, and instability. That's kind of the big story here today in the cap aloft.
It's like a suspense movie.
I
You know,
know.
you're just
It's
waiting.
dragging you out a little bit, too.
Yes. Trust me, we wish we could call the all clear. We can't do that quite yet.
No.
How about a timeline for the rest of today and what we're going to be tracking and what we're going to be focusing on? So we've already had our 11:30 update from the Storm Prediction Center. We're doing our live 8+ stream right now. And then when we get to this afternoon, ignore that pink arrow, that's an extra one at 2:30. And when we get to 3 this afternoon, we're going to get another update from the Storm Prediction Center. That will have those storm zones defined again. We'll see if there's any shift, any movement. I would think by the 3 o'clock update, if that moderate risk was going to expand further south, if that was going to be the case, it's going to happen there. Because otherwise we're talking about the next update not coming until 8 o'clock this evening. That's the next one after the 3 o'clock update. But we will guarantee that Chief Meteorologist James Zahara will have a live stream here on the 8+ app at 6:30
Yes,
this
he will.
evening. And you'll probably see a couple other faces here too, depending on what's going on
That's
with
it.
the radar.
Yeah, if the radar is busy, I'll probably see both of our faces here
Exactly.
tonight.
Yep. Or we may potentially even already be in coverage at that point.
That's true.
So let's plan on our next live chat coming up this evening. That'll be at 6:30. With at minimum Chief Meteorologist James Zahara being here. Again, both of us could be here as well, depending on what the radar looks like. But we definitely want to keep you in the loop, showing you and explaining everything that we know as of right now, what we don't know. And again, as I've been saying all morning long, we're setting expectations. I don't want people to let their guard down thinking, well, it's guaranteed the cap's going to win. We're not going to get storms. I still want you to be prepared for that chance that something blows through.
Yes.
It's happened before, and it can definitely escalate things really quickly.
Yes, and it's, as we've been saying, we aren't trying to cry wolf or anything with
Right.
the system, but because the potential is there, it's so important to still always stay weather aware and stay prepared. That's the most important things in these situations, and stay tuned to the forecast.
Exactly. I mean, take Easter Sunday for an example.
Yes.
You had a level 2 for areas south of the Quad Cities on Easter Sunday. And how many tornadoes did we end up with?
14, Andrew.
14 tornadoes currently the total, and that will likely remain the total. Hasn't gone up anymore, but that was impressive. That was not supposed to be a big severe weather day like the one that we have on our hands right now. So it just goes to show, you can't sleep through everything.
No.
Even though it may look like there's a cap in place and it's like, looks like we're going to be in the clear, we can't do that just yet.
That's why it's called weather, not climate.
Exactly. Yes, it's always changing.
It's always changing.
Should we dig into some of the models? I did not show any future track this morning, and I did that for a reason because a lot of folks like to take this, set in stone, just
Yes.
what is going to happen kind of thing. So again, we're not going to take this as gospel. This is just what could potentially happen as we go into this afternoon. So I think we're on the in-house model right now.
Yes.
We'll start with that because I haven't seen that yet since it updated. Getting us into the afternoon, that's that prefrontal trough I was talking about moving into eastern Iowa. You see it's really quiet. But yeah, look at the actual
that line.
front. Yeah, right there. So it looks like Des Moines, central Iowa, getting a nice healthy line there, about 6:30.
That's right over Polk County too.
And then as you can see here, as it reaches us, it just falls apart. And it's a nothing burger, nothing going on. So again, that's one possible scenario. Now we're going to take you to the rapid refresh model. Let's start with the extended first, which this one only updates a few times per day, but we can go further out into the future. Kind of has the same idea, though this is new here, not what the graph shows right now, is this little prefrontal trough setting off some thunderstorms in northeast Iowa. We'll move you forward into this evening. It kind of has the same
Similar
idea.
lines, some of those brightish pink colors popping up too.
Yep, right there in central. And then I think the new model, actually, no, you know what? I need to extend this. My apologies. There we go. I forgot it's a short range. I need to extend the timeline. Let me get that way out there so the blinking stops. That's kind of annoying. Okay, so there we go. 9 o'clock this evening, stepping that ahead. Potentially something getting into the Quad Cities late tonight. This would be like midnight, 1 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Not the best time for severe weather.
No. Dynamics won't be as strong then.
Yeah, that'll be weakening in intensity.
And that's another thing to notice too, is if they pop off out, say in Des Moines, they're not going to have as much strength to try and maybe break our cap or get through it as strong as well.
Exactly, yeah. So this is kind of the scenario that it is showing. Again, you're noticing many of our hometowns just kind of get bypassed this and don't even get a storm or a drop of rain. So that's what we're dealing with this morning in this kind of a setup. It is tricky, it is difficult, it is one you have to forecast hour by hour. A reminder, when we looked at this last night and when we looked at it this morning, none of this was here.
Nope.
None of this central Iowa stuff was here. That's how quickly things are evolving and how quickly things can change. And that's why we have to track this and forecast it literally hour by hour as we go through today.
Yes. That's where we're going to continue to keep you guys updated here on this A+ app.
That's right.
Make sure to stay tuned to it.
It's a great tool. If you have some friends that have a smart TV,
They should download this.
maybe you're over there for Super Bowl Sunday and you're like, man, that's a nice TV. 105-incher on the wall there.
Oh, yeah. A nice little Roku and just kind of just go to the App Store and you can download it.
You're like, hey, we were watching these two goofballs on Channel 8 doing the extra severe weather stuff on the A+ app. You guys should download it.
Yeah.
So spread the word. Great resource to have. You get all this bonus content. We're not limited to commercials. We're not limited to 4 minutes like we are on TV during main weathercasts. It's a great forum, and we really enjoy your questions too. It's a great discussion tool. So perfect day to share this app with a friend if you can. Amazon Fire, Roku Stick, and also if you have an Apple TV.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now. Samsung, we love you, Samsung. We're coming.
We're trying.
We're trying to get
Working
there.
on it.
We're waiting on approval. It is coming very, very shortly, so sit tight.
That's pretty much the big ones after that.
That is a big one. A lot of people have Samsung, so
know.
can't wait for them to join us here shortly.
Yes, it'll be fantastic.
Yes.
I got a couple questions for you.
Yeah,
here.
let's go ahead and throw them in.
Yeah, this is just a quick one. It's kind of related to the storms tonight. Do you think the number and severity of tornadoes and severe storms has increased over the past couple of years?
So I did a story, and it's probably on WQAD.com, but it's actually the opposite. The intensity of tornadoes has not been increasing. It's actually been decreasing. But the other thing we have to look with that is we got that new EF scale.
That's true.
So remember, I did another story about that, how we're not seeing as many EF5 tornadoes as we used to see the number of F5 tornadoes before that changed over. So there's likely a little bit of a skewering to the data that's going on, but from what we can tell right now, we are not seeing more intense tornadoes.
Yes.
That number is actually falling based on our current standards that we use to rank tornadoes today.
Yeah, and the frequency has maybe gone up a little bit, not in maybe in our viewing area, but Illinois and Iowa statewide, because I remember I did that for my severe weather story.
Yes.
For our severe weather special. There's a slight upward trends maybe in frequency, but yeah, the number of higher rated or stronger tornadoes has decreased, at least on the tornado front, over the last, I'd say, 25 years.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating kind of, shift eastward and also southeastward too over the last decade or so.
Southern Illinois has seen a significant increase. That's kind of where we've seen that highest total jump is Southern Illinois.
Yeah.
So definitely
Keeps changing.
interesting. I know. It's always changing.
Yes. Good question.
That is a great question. Cheryl was wondering when and how severe will Kewaunee get?
So we're still keeping this broad brush with a big paintbrush because, again, everything is dependent on this cap.
Yes.
If it's strong, we're not looking at much, and we would push that timeline way back into late tonight. If the cap is weak and something can burst through that, then we're talking about after the 5 o'clock time frame into the early evening.
Yes.
Yeah. So right now it's best to stick with us again. We get the update on the weather balloon after 3 o'clock. If the cap is strong, we're likely going to have a fairly quiet evening and then some isolated activity later tonight. If it's not strong, we have to watch the radar like a hawk, and you should be doing the same 5 o'clock and onward.
Tune in on Channel 8.
Keep that 5 o'clock time frame in your head.
Yes.
Yep.
We'll keep them updated. That's all I got for questions for you.
Cool. Very good. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining our bonus stream here at the noon hour. Again, a reminder that Chief Meteorologist James Zahara will be in this afternoon. Probably both of us coming in at some point this evening into the overnight, depending on what the radar looks like. But either way, we've got you covered with team coverage. Don't forget all of the bonus content right here on the 8 Plus app, which you can download for free and watch on your TV.
As always,
Spread the word.
spread the word.
All right, you guys have a great afternoon. Stay safe, Quad Cities.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 8 Plus app everywhere you stream.